Ham, Arsenal have Everton. It doesn't matter what Arsenal do. If Manchester City beat David Moyes' side in his final game in charge of West Ham, they will be champions for a record fourth time. In fact, the previous 9 times in the Premier League era, League history can better that, which is some statistic. He made a good point there, though. The Aston Villa game, when Gundogan came off the bench, they've been here before. They know how difficult it is. West Ham, it's no given.
Football, or in the Premier League for that matter, is ever given, wherever you are, whether you're top.
They know how difficult it is. Everyone expects them to beat West Ham, it's no given.
Not thinking football, or in the Premier League for that matter, is ever given, wherever you are, whether you're top versus bottom. We've seen it happen over the years, whether it's something big on the table or not, that they're going to go there and try and win a game. They don't want to lose it either. So unless City come with the same mentality they had in the Spurs game and probably play to the way we know they can, then they should win the game. But they have to be at it. They can't come thinking they're gonna win the game. And I think that's kind of the point Roger was making. They all have been there before. They had the Villa game. They were 2-0 down before they knew it and had to claw it back in the last 15 minutes. So they won't want that to happen again.
No. If there was ever a group of players you'd be confident about not having an off day in that scenario, it would be this bunch, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think when you play, let's say, a lesser team, an inferior team to yourselves, then sometimes complacency can kick in. Of course it can. But when the prize is so big, of course it can. But when the prize is so big, when you've worked so hard for so long, when you've had to go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and win, I'd be very, very surprised if they took their foot off the pedal now. This team have been there, they've seen it, they've done it under the greatest of pressure. One-off games is their forte as well. You know, West Ham, you know, go all the way. You said it, they've got one hand on the title now. And yeah, the great Aguero goal rescued them. And that would have been even more of a surprise than West Ham going there. So it's happened before, things can happen with pressure, but I'd be very surprised now.
And you'd have 2 Premier League medals if that hadn't happened.
Thanks for reminding me.
In terms of the adrenaline, you could see that from Rodri there. They knew tonight was the night, didn't they, to keep their destiny.
They needed that second goal. And to do it the way they've done it at a place where they've effectively struggled to score, in hindsight, we didn't see them create that many clear-cut chances or have that many shots from outside the box as they normally do. They were very cautious. They kind of played that game in many ways like an away Champions League game where they didn't want to make too many mistakes and they was patient in terms of trying to wait for that right opportunity to open. And I think Doku coming on changed the game because he gave them that little bit of that unexpected where Spurs don't know what he's going to do and City kind of just play off of what he does and see what he comes out with, especially when he goes to the byline. And that is something they needed in that game for me.
You don't want to remember the Aguero moment. Julian Lescott always does. He's definitely the Champions League next season, but a big half still to come. I thought former club looked a little tentative and nervous by their very high standards at times.
I'd have to say, yeah, I think that there has been a few moments in there, especially with Diaz. I think he lost the ball, we were saying, twice in a couple of minutes. So I think there's always going to be a little bit nerves there. They know Spurs is a hard place to come to start off with. They playing very high and aggressive in the press. And they sort of kind of dust their shoulders off, and that's what Pep will most probably say. Just keep doing what you're doing. The chance will come like it did for Phil earlier in the half.
Yeah, and that, and which you'll see in a moment, a lot you've noticed is coming down the City right.
Yeah, I feel as if they're going to score, we see that graphic there, Steve, if they're going to score, it might be down this right-hand side. You know, we all know that De Bruyne likes to favour this side. You've got Kyle Walker that's really bombing on. Phil Foden's floating into this area. We just pick up a couple of examples, and OK, they're not really strong, but a better run there from Walker, and he's in. I think he might have been just given offside on this one. But if he arcs his run better, he's in there. Again, you expect a little bit of covering from the full-back, but that's a better run. He runs alongside the line, and the ball's just a little bit heavy. So nearly again, the third time again, Van der Ven coming in to cover Haaland, leaving all this space out wide. Phil Foden's out here, Bernardo Silva's out here, and Kyle Walker. So they really are teaming up on this side. This time it's a bad final ball, and now on the last one it's Bernardo Silva that finds himself out here. he doesn't quite get the ball in himself, but Kyle Walker's there backing him up and he knocks it, and this is one of their best chances of the match. Guardiola at the back post, how many times in recent weeks have we seen him knock that one in the back of the net? So this right-hand side, we saw the stats, we saw the numbers, it's all coming down this right-hand side, and I just think Tottenham going to have to be very careful because something big could happen down that right-hand side.
And it was from that area where the chance for you were talking about for Phil Foden emanated from. He couldn't have done any more here, though, could he? It was just an outstanding goalkeeping save.
It's unbelievable save. Yeah, I think Vicario's been doing these all season long, but City win the ball back, intercept there, but he just takes a chance and he watches it all the way over his shoulder, tries to place it nicely, but Vicario spreads so wide and gets that strong arm to it, but I don't think Phil could have did any more there, Mark.
No, he can't. I mean, you know me. I hate it when people say, just hit the target. But in this situation, when the ball is dropping over your shoulder, it's one of the hardest skills in football. And concentrating on the strike and getting it on target is probably the safest and most productive play in that situation. He actually hits it really, really well, and it's just a magnificent save from Vicario. So no blame for Foden from
that. Yeah, and that is City's only effort on target. Spurs at the other end did force one save out of Ederson. You were a little worried initially with the build-up here.
I think they do well, and Højbjerg's pass is unbelievable. You see Guardiola gets caught under it a little bit. He thinks it's going to drop on him, but Brennan, I think, does tremendous here in terms of waiting for that run and picking a pass out, and he gets a clean strike on it. It's just straight. Any other corner, it could have been more of a problem for Ederson personally, especially through those bodies.
Yeah, now this is a situation that I think maybe just hitting the target isn't the right play. I think that you're just inside the box. Maybe Diaz is blocking that far post, but just to smack it down the middle, no, not really my cup of tea, that one. I'd like to think he could just find a corner, either fade it into or pull it into that far one or into the near post. But he's gone for power right down Ederson's neck, and he's tipped it over. But it's not been the greatest of games, but it's one that you've just got to watch at the moment. I can't, I don't even want to blink because something will happen. Two great teams going at it.
77 Premier League shots they've had in this stadium, Manchester City, and they still haven't scored a goal.